Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Welcome to the Social. We'd like to welcome back to the show SportsCenter anchor Sarah Davis. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. So excited to be here with all of you.
I think there's a little game or something that your network is working up towards on Sunday.
Like maybe the biggest stage in sports, biggest event is happening Sunday night. Yeah, Super Bowl 59, and we've got the Eagles and Chiefs back in it. It's a repeat from 2 years ago.
Yes, we'll be talking a little bit about some Super Bowl action. But first, we're going to talk about the movies because Netflix has cut Emilia Pérez star Karla Sofía Gascón from the film's Oscar campaign after old tweets show that the actress made offensive and racist comments against the likes of Muslims and even one about George Floyd. Gascón is the first openly trans performer to be nominated for an Academy Award, but is no longer involved in promoting the movie with the rest of the cast. She is gonzo. So the question we're asking is, should she have been cut from the Oscar campaigning that is happening right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't think there's any other choice, right? Like if they included her on, like, let's say the poster, which is what's going around on social media right now, for example, I think that Netflix would be accused of endorsing her. I think that's what that message sends across. The tricky thing is that she's still in the running for an Oscar. She's still going to be at the Oscars, and to think that she will no longer be a distraction if they just remove her from this, I don't think that's entirely true either, because what I worry is that all of her co-hosts are now going to have to be answering questions about this on behalf of her. So it's this really unique and dicey and uncomfortable situation that I don't know if there's one simple answer that would solve all of the problems with it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Listen, the studio has no choice. She's left them no choice. And I think if they could, they would like to go back in a time machine and go back before they even started production and just delete her from this whole project, but they can't. So what they are going to do right now is the only thing they can do, which is take her off the red carpet, as you mentioned, so that her co-stars don't have to stand next to her on the red carpet or even sit next to her in the, in the auditorium. Because if you sit next to them, it's almost like you're aligning with what they said. And what she said was really heinous. And this movie already had a lot of controversy to begin with. First of all, the trans community was not happy with the depiction of a trans person. On the one hand, they were like, listen, Karla Sofía, we're very happy for you that you got this opportunity, but your depiction of a trans person is troubling for us. And then there are the Mexican families who are like, listen, our families were directly affected by the cartel, and you guys are telling the story and you made it a musical? It feels a little insensitive. And then there was a use of the French director, which of all the things to complain about, I feel like that's the one the least offensive thing. So this movie already had a lot of controversy. And then for Karla Sofía's tweets, which, people are saying, oh, it was from a few years ago. She's 52 years old.
Exactly.
I don't care if it was 10 years ago. You were still 42 years old. And she said a lot of troubling things.
Yeah.
And the fact that she belongs to a marginalized group makes it even worse. Because when you're part of a marginalized group, how it feels to be discriminated against, to hear hateful words. And there she is taking to her social media, not saying it amongst friends, but taking to her social media.
It's a public declaration.
It's a public declaration.
Sarah,
Which makes it even worse.
What do you think, Sarah?
Yeah, you really should know better. I just feel awful for her castmates and everyone who worked on this movie, because now they're dealing with the fallout of this. They have to answer all the questions. It's awkward for them now to be associated with her as well. And this movie has 13 Oscar nominations. That's the most out of any film at the Oscars this year. So now there's this dark cloud, a very messy dark cloud with everything that you guys have said. And when you work with a team of people, it's hard when one person has gone rogue in the past, I guess.
And then not apologized very well.
Well, she did apologize. So Karla did do an unsanctioned, we'll call it, an unsanctioned interview with CNN in Spanish. And there was I guess you could call it an apology, but a lot of people are saying it was a really crappy apology as well. She's like, I'm not a criminal. She said, I do apologize, but I did not commit a crime, which is not really a way to apologize.
It's a non-apology apology.
But I think for me, is there a way that she could still be a part of this? Because here's the thing, to me, this is about cancel culture. Like, I get that you're trying to promote a film, and I am not gonna condone anything that she said. All of it was awful, and she is a grown woman, and she should know better. But what we've learned from cancel culture is, what is it that we're trying to get out of this person? Are you trying to erase her? I mean, the irony is, you are erasing a trans person from a film about a trans person. There is a problem there.
This trans
for me.
person eliminated
what I'm saying
themselves
is,
from the equation,
my point is,
Sorry.
my point is, there is an irony there. And where is, Lady Gossip just wrote about this. Where does legitimate criticism end, and where is it a guise for transphobia? And that's a very murky territory that I don't know where that line is. So is there a way for her to come out? I think there is a way for her to come out. What we've learned from other people who have canceled and come back is, if you are genuinely contrite, if you actually go and do the work and wake up, isn't that the point of someone who's done wrong? Is you hope that they learn better so that they do better and don't do it again? Or is the point that you just throw all these people away and try to forget them? I don't think that that's the answer here. So I don't think that, I don't know that she should be on the tour with everybody.
I know, but you know what, who's watching this? If I'm Kevin Hart, who was supposed to host the Oscars back in 2019, remember? And they brought up a homophobic joke he made in one of his stand-ups in 2009, and that controversy cost him the job. He was like, I already apologized for that, I'm not apologizing again. If I'm Kevin Hart, I'm sitting back going, okay, y'all wanted to cancel me hard for that, but I want to see how you're going to handle Karla Sofía. Are there different rules for different marginalized groups?
But that is
careful with that.
That's a hard comparison in a way, because Kevin Hart didn't need the Oscars. He had a huge,
but it's not about who
career.
needs it.
No, I get it.
We
but
don't
I'm
know
just
what
saying,
the finances of Karla Sofía is either.
Well, I think that what we do know is that she was a struggling actor for a long period of time. And again, I'm not justifying any of these tweets. I think that the point is that unfortunately, when you have a person who's marginalized in society, oftentimes they end up becoming representative of that entire thing. And that's so problematic. But then what I worry about, especially in the climate we're in now, is that then this person becomes representative of trans community, and that people are already being very unfair to the trans community right now, and I wonder if they're just going to use this as an excuse to be worse.
We're not going to solve it. We got to move on. I'm sorry. I've got to stop. We got to go on. We got to go on.
I'm part of a marginalized group. I don't get to say what I want to say.
We have to go on.
I'm part of a marginalized group. I can't just say whatever I want to say.
They're telling us in our ear to go on. I'm not cutting you off. They're telling us in our ear, just for the record.
I didn't hear that.
For the record. Okay.
So, the Jonas Brothers surprised fans in Toronto by showing up at a bar for Camp Rock. It was a themed trivia night. They played siblings in the movie back in 2008. So, Sarah, do you see the appeal of these trivia nights?
100%. Yes. In the Sports Center newsroom, 5 times a week I'm in there. It is trivia morning, day, night, 24/7 in that newsroom. I mean, I love the competitive nature of it, and I love learning stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Why not? So bring on the trivia nights, and I mean, I would do well on the sports side of things. Everything else, I haven't even seen Emilia Pérez, so sorry,
Yeah, it's true.
Sports is my jam for sure.
I just want to give a shout out to the Joe Bros, because they are in Toronto filming a Christmas movie for Christmas season 2025. So, hi guys, if you want to stop by the social, come on down. We'd love to see you. And I think it's really sweet of them to not just show up at a trivia night in Toronto. It's also the fact that these people were doing a trivia night for Camp Rock. This movie came out like 2008 or something. So these are not just fans. These are like ride or die fans who've been fans for a really, really long time. And so they show up not just with like the new fans. It's like you come in and they can give you your whole history. Before, these guys were married and husbands and children. So I think that was a really, really nice touch. So if you want to come to our next games night, I'm a huge games girl. Come on. If your new kid's on the block and you're watching, come on down. I'd love to see you.
I love that they did this too. Like, honestly, that more celebs need to do this. Like, show up where your fans are, and just like unexpectedly. We have had one of the Jonas Brothers on the show before, but I just thought impromptu right now. Can I give you guys a couple of
yes,
Jonas Brothers?
Yes.
We can all play together. Okay.
No.
Does anyone know what the Jonas Brothers' original name was?
Oh.
Original name. Anyone?
Nope.
They were originally apparently called J3, but they didn't like it. They weren't happy about it. And so one of the first shows they did, Joe Jonas came out and said, hey, we're the Jonas Brothers. And it stuck. So there you go.
There you go.
Second thing, I'm going to say, which one of the Jonas Brothers dated Selena Gomez? Anyone know?
Must have been Joe. No.
Yes, it was Joe. It was Joe.
Joe's dated everybody.
I don't even know their first names.
One more. Which of the brothers broke his purity ring vow first?
All 3 of them.
Remember that when they all were? Probably all 3 of them.
Yeah.
It was Joe, also at 20 years of age.
Joe.
Anyway, they maybe were wrong. Maybe they can correct us.
Oh, baby. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes says his 3-week-old daughter, Golden, will be at the Super Bowl, and he hopes to get her a win. So, to the moms out there, to all the parents out there, is that reasonable? Sarah, I'm gonna throw to you first.
Yes, I hear some naysayers. It is 100% reasonable. And I say this for a few reasons, okay? First of all, Patrick Mahomes is on the brink of history. He could do something that has never been done in the NFL before, lead his team to a 3rd straight Super Bowl. So that's never been. So imagine growing up, being his baby, growing up and saying, my first NFL game I ever went to, my dad made major NFL history. He won a 3rd straight Super Bowl. So there's that possibility. But also, Patrick Mahomes makes $45 million a year, okay? Makes a lot of money. So his family is gonna be set up perfectly. The baby, I don't know, it's gonna have noise cancellation, headphones, or whatever's gotta be done.
Yeah.
The baby's not going unless Brittany wants to go. Brittany is his wife, okay? The whole family's gonna be there. They're gonna be set up. And Patrick has said he takes motivation from his family. That's what motivates him on the field. That's what motivates him to win. So the Chiefs are gonna do everything in their power to make sure his family is comfortable, safe, set up, so that he can go out there and win them another Super Bowl.
Interesting. That's an interesting take. Listen, I'm not a mom, but all of those reasons, I didn't hear anything about the mother who would have just brought a baby out of her body 3 weeks ago and is probably still bleeding and probably still wearing the diapers. Like, I haven't had a baby, but I know, like, that's 3 weeks after, you're not ready to go outside, especially to a stadium. But I will say this, I think that this is an important lesson for everybody to see. Like, the wives and girlfriends are under an unspoken pressure to not only look good, but to also support their partners no matter what, especially leading up to a big game. You're not supposed to be a distraction, and if he says he needs you there and that's his motivation on the field, well then it doesn't matter if the umbilical cord is still connected. You have to be there, and they, of course, are gonna make it comfortable, but she has no choice, because if she doesn't show up and the Chiefs lose, you know in that post-game interview, they're gonna ask him, do you think it's because Brittany's not here and she didn't bring the baby? And they're gonna find a way to blame her. So I don't think Brittany has a choice. I like that she's going, but I don't think she has a choice.
It's kind of like the royal family, right? Like, there was sort of like no choice. Like, it didn't matter if you were sick or whatever, or you just gave birth, you gotta show up, you gotta
hair,
put on
makeup,
a lip. Exactly. That's what, all I know is I can't speak for this woman, but after 3 weeks of giving birth, I could barely walk, let alone like, and my nipples were the size of dinner plates, and they were sore, and they were leaky. And if Prince had come to me and said, come to my concert, you would have gone. I would not have. So whatever.
And here's the thing, like, no two women are the same, because at 3 weeks, that's how you felt. At 3 weeks, I was at a Weekend and Drake concert. So I'm just saying.
C-section.
And I had a C-section.
Wow.
An emergency C-section.
Wow.
So no two women are the same.
Fair.
This is not new for the family. Like, if you guys go back to just the last Super Bowl, this is kind of what the Mahomes do. They had their 2 other children there, Sterling and Patrick Bronze. This was the last Super Bowl. This is what they do. I think there's a lot of
child
security.
does not look happy.
You know,
Thank you.
It's okay. It's okay.
Way past bedtime
I
and
also
bath
think,
time.
like, the bigger problem I have is that the new daughter's name is Golden, and the first daughter is Sterling, and the boy is Bronze.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a whole other issue with the Mahomes that has nothing to do with the game. But I do think that at 3 weeks, if you remember, the babies, in retrospect, were pretty easy. Baby's gonna probably sleep. He actually said at the press conference, this is a great baby. She eats well, she sleeps a lot. Baby's probably gonna sleep through most of the game. And I think you don't give the mom credit. She wants to be there for her husband. I actually think that's a beautiful thing. And if she couldn't be there, she wouldn't be there.
No,
and
no.
I think it's gonna be a beautiful
They're
thing.
gonna have all the help they need. They're gonna have multiple nannies. They're gonna have probably Brittany's assistant, you know, like they're gonna have so much help to make sure they are comfortable and make sure Brittany is
All right, well, we're keeping with Super Bowl, even though whatever.
You look very excited about that.
Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts reportedly speaks in quirky, inspirational quotes. So the New York Times has a list of them, including, quote, I didn't walk through all that fire just to smell the smoke. Sure, I remember. I don't understand that one. Anyway, and rent is due every day.
Yeah,
so,
baby.
What do you think of inspirational quotes? Do we like them, or do we find them a little bit eye-rolly?
I guess it depends. It depends. I love a good quote, and the reason why I love a good quote is because I was raised with a man named Frank Grelo, and I've shared many of his Frankisms here on the show. But I think it depends on the person saying it. Are you just talking the talk, or do you also walk the walk? We know that person who has a lot of sayings. We probably had them as kids from our own parents. They talk it, but then they don't live it. And it sounds like Jalen is living it because he's a winner. So good for him. He's talking the talk and walking the walk. I think for me, if he was talking a lot and then was just totally just not doing well on the field, we're gonna have an issue. So the last one I have for you, Jalen, and you can take this from Frank Grelo, is don't forget though, I know you do a lot of talking, and a fish always dies by its mouth, so be careful.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, Frank Grelo.
His quotes, yeah, they don't necessarily work for me. I also love a good motivational quote. Now, Jalen also has a teammate who will read an inspirational book on the sidelines during a game,
right.
which is a different
Made
form
headlines.
of motivation. Yeah, exactly. There's A.J. Brown reading the book while the Eagles' defense is on the field. So, you know, we all find different ways of motivation. Jalen is also very much inspired by the women around him. He has a female agent. He has a full female management team around him. And 2 years ago, when he extended his contract, his female agent, a Black woman, got him the largest NFL contract in history. So he makes $51 million a year. And he says he takes inspiration from his mother, his younger sister, and this full female management team. And I wish, I would love to see more elite male athletes take on these full female management teams. Also, his agent was the first Black woman to represent a quarterback in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So he's doing great stuff.
I love that you said all of those things because you know that I'm Team Jalen Hurts. He can do no wrong. Listen, this man could talk like the Count from Sesame Street. One touchdown. And I would be like, I'm fine with it. Because he has a nice balance of fineness and talent. He backs it up. He knows exactly what and fashion and the whole thing. So I'm here for it. And I love that quote that you just read, the one that the rent is due every day. To that, I just say, let me be your tenant. You could be my landlord, honey. The
This guy, and he is very attractive.
You know what's funny? People ask me, like, do you have a type? And I'm like, no. And then Jalen shows up. I go, actually, no, you know, that's a damn lie. That's my type right there.
I want you to picture this. You're in bed with him, and he turns to you and he says, you take a deuce. You don't just sit there and look at it. You flush it and you move on. What do you think of that? That's one of his inspirational quotes.
I high-five him and I go, you're absolutely right. Let's keep doing this. You're absolutely right, baby. I'm out. Keep dropping those pearls of wisdom.
We want to remind everybody that you can catch expansive coverage of Super Bowl Sunday. That is at 11 a.m. That is when it starts Eastern, right here on CTV and on TSN. And of course, you know we're going to do the whole Super Bowl breakdown on Monday's show. So make sure you tune in and then tune in. So BuzzFeed has a list of embarrassing things that their readers confess to learning a little too late in life. Like there is a second Kansas City in Missouri. Also, it's not called the abdominal snowman. It's abominable, not the abdominal snowman. Yeah. Don't know if snowmen have abs, but anyway. Sarah, is there a commonly known fact that you discovered a little late in life?
So I couldn't come up with one myself. I mean, there's the various phrases I think we've all gotten wrong, like nip it in the bud. It's not nip it in the butt. I think we've all done that. But my sister, who's in the audience here today.
Oh, look at her face. She's like, what are you going to say?
She knows what I'm going to say, and that's the word congratulations. She thought for the longest time was spelled with a D, like congratulations. So she would write that in cards, and it's become this ongoing joke in our family. But then I went to my 4-year-old's preschool graduation last year, and it said, congratulations. And I was like, because they were graduates. And I was like, oh no, this is where it all started for her.
It continues.
Your poor sister. I feel bad for you. Look at her face. She's like, I did not get a heads up on that story.
She said she was not prepared for this.
Yeah. For me, I bought a car in my 20s and I was super excited about it, driving the car, and I thought all I had to do was put gas and windshield wiper fluid. And then one day, after a couple of years, the car just stopped working. So I brought it to the mechanic and I'm like, the car's not working. I don't know what's happening. So he's like, let me take a look at it. And he's like, so he came back and he's like, so when did you have your last oil change? And I looked at him and I just blinked and I was like, I put gas in the car. That's the oil that goes in the car. And he was like, ma'am, an oil change. And I was like, so embarrassed. I was like, I didn't know you had to do all that stuff. So that was my embarrassing moment where I had no clue.
When I was reading this article, I was like laughing in my mind at all the dummy comments, right? Like, so one of them is this guy who thought that girls peed out of their bums because they sat down. And he just carried this on into his 20s. Anyway, I was laughing, but then I realized that there's a whole bunch of things that I learned today. And I wonder if you're going to share some of these with me. I didn't know that turtles aren't inside their shells. They actually are the shell. Did you know this? I always thought there was like a little mini turtle in there.
Like Franklin.
Like Franklin.
Wait,
Like a little naked.
So where you thought
the shell is part of them. Like that's their skeleton. Anyway, you got to Google it. Like they're
you
not
thought
just,
you could pull it out and it would be a separate.
Like a hermit crab.
Like,
right?
oh my gosh,
Gotcha. Another one.
Okay.
Anyway,
Gotcha.
That famous painting, American Gothic. Everyone's seen. Look at this painting. I think we have it up here. I always thought that he was there with his wife. Did everyone else think that? That's his daughter, guys. Okay. And last but not least, the chocolate bar Toblerone. Do you know that chocolate bar?
Yeah.
I don't know why this blew my mind, but if you look closely at it, you see that mountainscape? It's actually a bear. Can you see it? Can you see it? There's a bear
But it is
there.
in a mountain.
He's in the mountain, fine, but I've never seen the bear before. Have you seen the bear?
Wow.
Too busy ripping into the chocolate to look for the bear.
Those were 3 random things I did not know.
I did not know.
Thank you.
I mean, I knew about the turtle. But anyway, there you go. Sarah, what a pleasure to have you back on the show.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
coming
Yes,
back.
I want to come back again.
Thank you.
Wait, who do we think's going to win the Super Bowl?
Are we going to take? I don't know if we have time.
Jalen
quickly.
Hurts' team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly,
I'll
Eagles,
just say
fly.
Kansas. I'll say Kansas.
I'm cheering for the Eagles, but I think Kansas is going to pull it out.
Okay.
I'm cheering for that mom we talked about earlier.
Yes.
That's
Brittany
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.